Ross Kemp, and I'm going to prison.
I'm going to be spending time in one of Britain's most notorious prisons. HMP Barlinnie in Glasgow. This tough jail has a formidable reputation. To understand what the prisoners go through, I'm going to be admitted like any other inmate.
Take your underwear off. There you go.
I've got exclusive access to every part of the prison, and I'll find out what the prisoners really think about Barlinnie.
It's a bear pit, mate. It's a hellhole, mate.
And learn about the extreme measures prisoners will take to get weapons.
That? Yep. So you put that up his arse? Yep.
I'll work with young inmates trapped in a cycle of repeat offending.
It's a muck scheme, that's what I say. It's a muck scheme.
And meet the prisoners who have committed the worst of crimes.
That's what you are. You're a murderer. Exactly.
Locals call it Bar L, the Big Hoose. I'm going inside Barlinnie. Eight 8,000 prisoners come through these doors every year. From shoplifters to armed robbers, from sex offenders to murderers. They are all processed here. And today, I'm going to get exactly the same treatment.
Just take him off the cuff, please. What's your full name?
Ross James Kemp.
Ross, what's your date of birth?
21st to the 7th, 64.
You've been in a Scottish prison before?
No.
And sit in that grey chair for me.
The chair is a metal detector.
Admission convicted.
It checks for weapons and mobiles that may be hidden internally.
Nothing in your pockets or anything, no?
Nothing. You find me, don't mess with it.
Look into the camera up in front of you. Ever had any issues with self-harm or suicide at all?
No.
No. Who's your next of kin?
My wife.
Stand up. Take you away, get you out of your own clothing, give you a body search.
They've checked my mental well-being. Now it's the strip search.
Take your clothes off. Put your arms up and spin around for me. Put that sweater on. Take your underwear off. There you go.
Although I'm stripped,
Turn around for me.
I'm relieved there's no cavity search.
Put your shorts back on. I need you to walk slowly past this machine for me. Stop. Turn around to face me.
And another scanner, so sensitive,
Walk forward.
it can detect SIM cards from mobiles which are banned.
Take a seat in there, you'll get over the hall in a minute.
It's a busy place. Over 100 other inmates are being processed today.
Everything that identifies me, my clothes, my credit cards, my mobile phone, etc., have been taken away from me. I've still got a wedding ring on. You know, it's a process, and it's a process that's done to make sure that I'm not bringing any weapons in. Slightly humiliating, but in the main, they do that process to keep you safe and to keep themselves safe.
Right, out you come, I'll take you over to the hall now.
For some, this is a rite of passage, as normal as walking to the shops. But for others, this could be the most frightening day of their life. I've yet to find out how intimidating this place really is.
Any advice?
Just keep your head down, you'll be fine. Just do what the staff tell you.
That's it, walk with the green mile. Ross Kemp's walk with the green mile.
The prison population in the UK has doubled in the last 25 years. Today, there are 100,000 people behind bars. And this all comes at a price. On average, it costs £36,000 to keep a prisoner in jail for a year.
But the big question for me has to be, what are prisons about? Are they there to contain people, keep dangerous people away from the rest of society? Are they there to rehabilitate, or are they there to punish?
Barlinnie has a dark history. 10 men have gone to the gallows behind its stone walls. The Lockerbie bomber was imprisoned here. And today, the jail runs on strict routine. And part of that routine is work.
Get on your shit!
The prisoners will be taken out of their cells, walk down the stairs, they'll go through the metal detector, and then they'll be taken along the routes to the various places where they work. And work's important in a prison because not only is it a way of them earning money, it's also getting people who may have never actually worked into the habit of doing something, going to work.
All convicted prisoners have to work. And for my first shift, I'm going to the prison kitchen. 40 men work here, many of them violent offenders. And each earns £12 a week for cutting, carving and cooking meals for the 1,100 inmates.
So 3,500 meals are made here every day at a cost of 83 pence per meal.
This place is full of potential weapons. Knives, boiling water, hot soup. And though working here is a privileged position, there is always the potential for violence.
Michael, can we get a spatula and a knife, please?
Can do.
So they're locked up.
Aye, all the sharps are locked up in
What
the
number
case.
are you marked?
17. Cheers, thank you.
He asks you for your number, why is that?
I'm in charge of this, basically. If somebody gets assaulted with it, it's down to me.
Down to you?
Obviously, aye, it's down to me to obviously keep it beside us and make sure it doesn't get used in somebody.
Right.
Then I'm using it.
Right.
Mark is serving 7 years for attempted murder.
What did you originally do to get sentenced?
I stabbed a boy.
Really?
Aye. Aye.
What with?
A knife.
Not like that one.
Aye.
Does it make you feel funny when you pick it up?
I don't like knives now, man. I don't carry them. I used to carry one every day when I was out there because the people I was jumping about with always carried, so I thought it was...
That's what you do.
Aye, I thought that's all right, man. You carry a knife because all my pals were doing it. But I carried it and used it one day and it changed my life.
Changed someone else's life as well.
Changed somebody else's life, aye. Aye.
I mean, how badly did you attack him?
Really bad. Aye, really bad.
Well, you're not the only person that's in this prison for using one of these, though, are you?
No, there's hundreds of people in here for using them, man.
The prison is run on rules under the ever-watchful eye of the prison officers. But it's also run on other rules made by the inmates. I want to find out what they are. So I've come to the exercise yard where I'm meeting Hugh. He has a history of violence and has done a few stints in Barlinnie.
Here, if we stand over here, mate. So, this is exercise, yeah?
It is exercise, mate.
What are the do's and don'ts of prison life?
Definitely don't fucking grass on anybody. Know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's one thing. Keep your mouth shut. Know what I mean? And don't growl. Don't walk about. Know what I mean? Staring at people. Know
Giving
what
it
I
the hard
mean?
man.
Aye, giving it the hard man. Because people will just punch you right out your trainers in here, mate.
Really?
I mean, this is Barlinnie, mate. This gear can kick off in 2 minutes, mate.
Really?
Aye, mate. It can happen in a heartbeat, mate. Know what I mean? Everything will be nice and calm, mate. Before you know it, mate, there's showing about the ground. Boxing. Know what I mean? People getting slashed and that.
People get slashed.
Aye. It's a dangerous show to be in, Ross. Know what I mean? This is no environment to be in, especially for first offender, mate. Look at it, mate. It's a fucking bear pit, mate.
You know, Hugh described this place as a bear pit. It is incredibly dangerous and stressful, both for the prison officers and for the inmates themselves. But it's one thing to fall out with the prison officers here. But if you fall out with the other inmates, your life becomes a living hell.
Keeping prisons safe is no easy task, and jails across the country have been struggling to contain trouble. In 2016, violence in Britain's prisons hit record levels, with over 20,000 prisoner-on-prisoner attacks and over 7,000 assaults on staff.
Could you just let you consider us?
In Barlinnie, the security and intelligence unit are on the front line in the battle to keep order in the jail.
So what we got here, Stevie?
This is a selection of weapons that we've actually retrieved through
right.
searches and that sort of thing. These are quite ingenious. These were made in here by prisoners. Most of them. This one here was made in the joiner shed using a bit of perspex. They've also used one of our power tools to grind it into shape.
I mean, that's a killer. That.
And you can't detect it. This type of weapon is very common. Basically what this is a razor blade. And what they do is they make 3 layers in it, so when they slash you,
You
can't stitch you left with a big scar.
You can see that there's 3 blades there. So that's a safety razor that's been dismantled and it's been melted into the end of that. But
Yeah.
that's a life-changing injury, isn't
It
it?
certainly is, yeah. And again, staff have to think, as prisoners as well, we have to think about these things.
Not all weapons are made in jail. Some are smuggled in using extreme measures. And one of these extreme measures is called banking.
This will give you an example. This was actually somebody that came with this banked.
Like that?
Yeah.
That?
Yeah.
You are kidding me.
No.
Well, look at the length of it. And look at the point on it. So you put that up his arse.
Yep.
There's no cavity check.
We don't do cavity checks as routine though. It would actually amaze you what people can secrete
Really?
and bank, yeah.
You know, being in the prison a short period of time, there's a feeling that everything is calm, but beneath it,
Oh, there's an undercurrent without a doubt.
yeah, and I'm beginning to see it.
Since 2014, over 700 weapons have been seized in Scottish prisons. And that's not the only thing Stevie's on the lookout for.
That is a real phone, right?
That's a real phone. It's, people ask us why can't we stop phones getting into prison? Well, that's a big phone now. You can get a smaller one now. That's about half the thickness of that.
Really?
Yeah, that'll resale and you go on eBay, get it for 20 quid, 600 quid for it in here.
£600 for a phone.
Yeah. It's more lucrative than the drug dealing. Any smartphone, they get you £2 or iPhone, that sort of thing.
Do you ever find that there are people that intentionally put themselves into prison?
Without doubt. You'll get people who have been on HDC, so that's home detention curfew. Right. So they're coming to the end of it. Yeah, they go in a tag. Yeah. Then they'll breach it with a couple of days to go, and they'll come in banked.
Right.
And
i.e. banked full of drugs, basically.
full of drugs, yeah. And then it's there for them to sell when they're in and make any amounts of money out of it.
How much? I mean,
you can literally make thousands. I mean, the sky's the limit, really.
From metal detectors to specialist sensors, the prison has a number of ways of finding weapons, mobiles and drugs. But with no cavity search, some prisoners succeed in smuggling them in. And it's not the only way inmates can get their hands on drugs.
You've had a lot of throwovers recently. How does he actually get over the...
Basically, it's as simple as using a... Do you know those things for throwing a ball for a dog?
Oh, yeah, the whipper. The whipper thing, yeah.
Exactly.
Like a boomerang.
Yeah. They'll stand at the bottom of the hill, near the flats, just outside the jail, and they'll just launch them right in. Then a tennis ball or a package shaped like that, it's quite aerodynamic, and launch it right in. People either pick it up, or they'll cause a distraction to pick it up.
What could be in the package?
Street Valium, recently, a lot of Street Valium. Can have anything up to 230 Valium in that.
How much is that worth inside this?
Well, outside the prison it's £1 a tablet, in here up to 5 times that per tablet.
What's the most ingenious way you've ever seen or ever witnessed?
Really ingenious, they were using clothing, so there's a proformer where people can get socks, pants, that sort of thing handed in. Sent in from their loved ones, family, friends. And what they were actually doing was making a solution up with things like Valium. They would put it on, let it dry. When you bring it in, you strain it in a tea and you can drink it and get the same kick as you would get by taking the tablet.
How did you first detect that?
We get it through intelligence.
Across the country, a third of inmates test positive for illegal drugs when leaving prison. Valium, heroin, and the increasing use of new psychoactive substances known as illegal highs or spice are all in demand. Stevie has received a tip-off that a prisoner has smuggled drugs, and I'm joining the search.
These guys are saying, for obvious reasons, they are possibly the most unpopular officers in this prison. You know, for many of the prisoners, the only way of getting through the week is to sometimes take drugs, and these guys stop them from doing that.
I want to find out how the prisoner is going to react when we turn up at his cell door.
We're going to get your body search now, right? Take your boxers off for me.
Prison officer Stevie and his team have received intelligence that a prisoner has smuggled drugs into Balliny. Not even the officers on duty in the hall know that this search is going to take place.
We want to do an intelligence-led search on your cell night. So what we're going to do a cell search.
I'm going to shake myself. What's the game on? Sorry to shake. You want to watch me stand by now?
No, I'm not going to do that. You just want to use the loo first.
The inmate who they suspect of having drugs, he has a history of it. He's walked back from having his hair cut to find the security team here. He's now decided he needs to go to the toilet. Now they have an issue. In terms of his human rights, I'm not sure that they can actually witness what he's about to do.
Hey, there's a line in here that shouldn't have been here. Any sharps? Right. We're going to give you a body search now, right? So give me your t-shirt off first. Right, if you take your boxers off for me, just hand them up to me. Squat down as far as you can for me. Right, and squat all the way down. Be a bit further than that. Right, that's right. Right, if you just wait outside the chair and just watch what we're doing.
In there. Is it not a case of, you know, as soon as you discover, oh, it could be in the bottom of the telly, then they stop putting it in the bottom of the telly? Because someone's found out it's gone around the yard.
They'll move it again, but they don't always, because it's a good hidey place. You'd always check the cards.
Really? Why?
SIM cards.
SIM card?
You get SIM cards and memory cards in the pack.
Stuck in the pack?
One of the best ones is peanut butter.
Because it's thick?
There's a phone inside the peanut butter.
Inside a plastic?
Wrapped inside a plastic container.
Well, what made you suspicious that it might be in the peanut butter?
It's just one of these things, you know, you get an intuition. You just get an intuition, you think, where would I hide it?
Is that how you think?
I don't know
what that says about you.
check the ball, and then I've had a phone in there before. See the wee Bluetooth ones?
Yeah. But this is basically what a plumber uses, right?
It is, yeah. Just see what's in behind the unit there.
So Jim, when you do find something, is it like a fisherman catching a fish? What's it feel like?
You've done your job. Right guys, in this come.
Hey!
Right boys, that's us. Alright, I'll take that razor. Right, razor. It's alright.
That search took the best bit of an hour and a half, and while the officers didn't find anything, they've said to me that they learned a bit of intel. And the inmate, to be fair, said, look, I've only been in a week, give me some time. And in the past, he has had mobile phones and drugs in his cell. There's this continuous game of cat and mouse. No matter what precautions you take to stop drugs coming in to a prison, they'll always get in because of the demand and because of the profit to be made.
When prisoners are caught with drugs or weapons, they are sent to a disciplinary hearing. I've been given special permission to sit in with Duty Governor Phil.
I think they respect the orderly room, they respect the prison rules, they know they're there.
The punishments dished out include loss of TV, withdrawal of recreation and cash fines. And if things are more serious, the police get involved and time can be added to a sentence.
There's a copy of the prison rules there to aid you if you need them, OK?
Cool.
You understand the charge and the purpose of the hearing?
Yes.
Are you ready to go ahead with it?
Aye.
How do you plead?
Not guilty. It's no mine, not mean.
OK, plea of not guilty. I'll read out the charge. You did have in your possession within cell 308 a homemade pipe used for smoking illegal substances, and when questioned, admitted to smoking a bit of cannabis.
I said to him if I was going to smoke it, it'd be a bit of hash, not mean. I never said to him I smoked a bit of hash.
Can you identify that as the item we're talking about?
I've never seen that before. Man.
So nobody showed you it?
No, I never seen it.
Not identified, OK?
Cool.
So you can't identify that?
It's no mine, not mean.
The fact that you identify that as being the offending article doesn't mean you're guilty.
Aye.
So if you say to me, I've seen it.
I have seen it before,
cool.
but it's no, the staff never showed me it.
So we've got somewhere. You do recognise that, is that fair?
I've seen it before.
So we can identify that as being the item that we're talking about in here.
Aye.
That's good, we're getting somewhere now. I'm trying to be realistic what happened in the cell, OK?
Cool.
It's not the worst crime in the world. Officer comes to your door and he says to you, you've been taking spice. No, a wee bit of hash. OK? Without me minimising it, a wee bit of hash.
Aye, cool.
Is that fair?
Aye, that's exactly what I says, aye.
Right, we've moved a long way for
Right, cool.
Nothing harm. Let's get to the charge. Guilty, no guilty?
Just guilty. Guilty with that.
Would you like to change your plea, young man?
Aye, just guilty and get it on.
You sure?
I'm choking for a roll-up, man.
Going to go with 14 recreation for your honesty.
Aye, so.
OK?
He said I wouldn't say no to a piece of hash. And then it became, well, I might have had some hash. Or, yes, I did have some hash.
Yes. So we got there eventually.
Pretty fair to him. He's only young, he's got family as well. So
he's got a child.
You know, and he wants to speak to them, and you could deny him access to that effectively by taking his money away, but what you've done is denied him access to rec.
To recreation and association with people.
Losing 14 recreation means no snooker, no chatting with mates for a fortnight, and to my mind, not too high a price to pay for using drugs. For some men here, the cost of drug use is huge, pushing back their chance of freedom not by days, but by years. And in a corner of Barlinnie, I'm going to meet one of these men. He's held in a separate facility called the National Top End. Most inmates here are serving a minimum of 10 years, and several men have been in prison for over 40. The inmate who wants to remain anonymous killed a family member over allegations of domestic abuse. Originally serving a life sentence with a 12-year minimum, he's now served 18 years behind bars.
Why have you served so much time?
It's drug tests. I mean, I'm an addict.
You'd never taken heroin until you got to prison?
Aye. The main reason why we started taking heroin was because the cannabis stays in your system for up to 28 days, but with heroin, it's out your system in 3 days.
So when they actually tested you during the week,
aye,
you'd be clean?
Aye. Aye.
Did you take it to effectively remove yourself from prison for a bit? If you're high, you're not here, are you?
Aye.
Was that why?
That's exactly why. It's hard to wrap your head around a life sentence. Just take the heroin and it just blanks everything, blanks your emotions, blanks your thought patterns. You lie for days, weeks, months, it turns into years.
But each time you got caught taking it, they added more onto your tariff.
Aye, aye.
Going back to it, you know, you say that you get this sentence, it's life, you know, you killed someone.
Mm-hmm. That's right, aye.
Regrets?
Aye. I'm asking the parole board now, please let me out. I've passed my 12-year punishment part. I've done another 7 year on top of that. I've changed. I will not commit another crime. Please give me that second chance. But I never gave that guy a second chance. So it's all regret. Oh yeah.
Do you think then that you have been rehabilitated?
I don't know about rehabilitation, but I definitely think different. I don't know if that's because I'm older now, or if it's through the result of the offending behaviour programmes that I've done. But it seems to be irrelevant because it's drugs I'm getting kept in for now.
What about while you've been in here? What were the darkest moments for you?
Personally, my darkest time was when you realise yourself that what you are. When you come face to face with yourself properly, to come to terms with the worst kind of person and understand that that's you.
And it's cost you nearly 20 years of your life. And his life.
Aye.
He's served 12 years for murder, but his heroin addiction has cost him another 6. And he's not the only one paying a price for his drug use. His extra time in jail will have cost the taxpayer around £200,000. And that's a heavy price to pay for everyone. In 1987, one of the worst riots in British prison history happened at Barlinnie. Inmates took control of the roof and 5 prison officers were taken hostage. Since then, prison officers have worked hard to keep a lid on this pressure cooker of a prison. I want to find out how they keep discipline when they are outnumbered and outmuscled.
So Danny, you got a lot of blokes here,
Yes.
quite strong lads. Bit of adrenaline pumping inside them. Someone knocks into someone. You've got a lot of weapons here, potentially lethal weapons.
Yeah.
How do you keep a lid on it?
Well, I'm 29 years in the job, so experience is very important. Not everything, but it is important. And generally you can find you'll get a feel of the gym and a feel of the class, how it's going. Psychology is everything. Generally we've got 3 staff in here with 42 prisoners.
You're outnumbered?
3 staff, it doesn't matter who you are, can you control 42? So gymnasiums run in the good relations between staff and prisoners.
Without the goodwill of the prisoners, prisons don't run.
Well, if we didn't have the goodwill, prisons would be a lot tighter regimes, because the staff will always stay in control of the prisons, or they should stay in control. Yes, we do have instances, especially in England right now, there's loads of instances when they're losing control.
Danny, I've noticed while you've been talking to me, your head is continuously monitoring everything that everyone does.
Well, I put to chin that prisoner because he punched the bag without bag mitts on. Me man, don't punch the bag. Don't punch the bag. Don't punch it behind your hands. Yeah? Big sign, big sign. Boom, boom. Big sign, right. Not the brightest. Do very, very firm but very fair. That's our job. That is our job. Rehabilitate them, re-educate them, whatever you want to say. But the bottom line is, guys make mistakes and they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Generally you find, as they get older and they get wiser, if they don't succumb to the perils of drugs and crime and get shot or something, generally you find once they meet a good woman, once they've done their 3rd long-term sentence, they realise, what am I doing here?
Danny seems optimistic that a lot of guys, given time, will get back on the straight and narrow. However, there are a few prisoners here that some argue just can't be rehabilitated.
I've been in Barlinnie some time now, and I've been into every hall apart from one, and that's E Hall. That's where the sex offenders are kept. They're kept separate from the other inmates. In fact, the other inmates refer to them as beasts. They account for 1/5 of the prison population here in Barlinnie. And across Scotland, they're the fastest growing prison population. Honestly, I'm not looking forward to going in there.
E Hall holds up to 280 sex offenders. That's 4 times as many as a decade ago. An increasing number are older, convicted of historic sex abuse, and some have even died here. The oldest sex offender is 89 years of age and needs carers to come in twice a day. One inmate has agreed to talk to me on the basis we hide his identity and disguise his voice. He's serving time for downloading indecent images of children.
Is it your first offence?
No, it's not. It's my 3rd offence for similar things.
If you know that you will be punished for doing what you do, looking at indecent pictures of children, why do you carry on doing it?
Because I'm an idiot, basically. I don't know. It's very difficult to explain to myself why I did it, but I thought I would get away with it, I suppose.
Do you think you can be rehabilitated?
No.
No.
In the sense of cured. I don't think I will offend again. I'm pretty sure I won't offend again. In that sense, yes.
But you can't be cured of your feelings for children?
No, I'm sure not.
You're sure not?
Yeah.
Does that not make you a threat to society, to children?
No, and it didn't before I committed this offence.
Well, do you not think that the children that are in those images that you see have been forced into doing the things that you like to look at?
I honestly want to keep an open mind on that, because some of them, I think, seem to quite enjoy it, and, you know.
You're telling me that the children in those images are enjoying themselves?
Yes, some of them, I think.
You seriously think that you should be allowed out of prison?
Yes.
Why?
Because I don't see what harm I would do outside.
Well, you don't think there's any harm being done to those children, the pictures
Well, I
that
wouldn't
you
do
like
it
to look
again
at?
now, but I would accept that I have done harm, which is why I'm here.
Basically, I think that's it. Thank you very much for talking to me.
Thank you.
You release me, please.
You have to question why someone who enjoys looking at indecent images of children being forced to have sex is not a threat to society, especially when you know he will be out of prison very soon. I found that disturbing, and I can't help but think how difficult it must be for prison officers that work with sex offenders every day. Donna has agreed to talk to me.
Do you read their case files?
I've read the trial judge reports and narratives and stuff from the court, which are very descriptive on their crimes and obviously their backgrounds and stuff, so I have done.
Does that change the way that you think about them?
No, it's hard. It does affect you, obviously, because there's some things that I've read that I would rather not have read, and you don't want that imprint in your head. Yeah. But it doesn't. When you're in here working with them, you're in doing a job, so it's not something that you genuinely don't think about it.
Also, there are rapists in here.
Mm-hmm.
You're a woman.
I know there's rapists in here. I know there's people who would sexually offend against somebody my age or any of the other females, or even the males in here, the male officers, but it's not something that you come in every day and you think, I'm going in here to work with these sex offenders who could potentially attack me.
I mean, they're in close proximity to you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They obviously can't control their urges towards women.
No, no.
I think you are very brave.
I don't know, I think it probably takes a certain type of person to come in and definitely work in an environment like this, a female and a male as well. But I suppose, yeah, you could say the staff that come in are brave.
Are you getting locked up? In the same flat.
I spoke to a sex offender earlier, and one thing that one of the officers came up and said to me quite openly, he said, "How did it go?" And I said, well, it was shocking to talk to someone that was so open and explicit about their views, particularly towards children. And he said, you've got to remember that there are other people locked up in here that have done far worse things, unspeakable things.
I've been surprised by what I've seen here. I've met hard cases, I've met desperate cases, and I've met sad cases, but there's one thing that unites many of them. One day, they will be free.
How you doing, boys?
My final stop is the barbers.
I've not come for my haircut.
Where 10 prisoners are employed to cut inmates' hair. And it's a chance to do a job I did a long time ago.
My mum was a hairdresser, so that's what I did when I was a kid anyway. So yeah, that's my job. I should be sticking it on my head.
Kevin has previous convictions for attempted murder and assault. And I want to know if he's finally turned his back on a life of crime.
I've changed, I've got kids and all that.
How much do you miss your kid?
I think about my son every single day, and it breaks my heart to think that I'm not part of his life, you know.
How old is he?
He's 16, 17 months old. He was born in January, you know.
What about liberation? What does it feel like?
It's the best feeling in the world. Aye, the best feeling in the world, aye. You can't beat it. It's a feeling that you'll never forget. So the first thing you want is to go and see your missus and have time with her. You've missed out in your sexual life for you, so it's a thing you
I hope
so. Aye. But that's the first thing we own people's minds, really. Because they're sexually frustrated in here, some people, man. You know, you see some boys, you're like, Jesus Christ, man.
But also, you look at the age group of, I mean, how old are you?
I'm 26.
I'm 31.
Right, but see, I can say this, you're young guys. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? This is the time that you should be out there.
Right.
This is the time for disco dancing.
Liberation is a happy day for most prisoners. But for some repeat offenders, I can't help thinking it's just part of a cycle.
Steady, can I have a liberation, please?
Robert is finishing a 7-month stretch for breach of the peace and breaking his community payback order.
Liberation Day.
Choking to get out.
Choking? First time you've ever been in prison?
No. It's like a revolving door for me, but I can only try and stay out.
How many times do you think you've been
I've
in
lost
prison?
count.
You've lost count?
Aye.
Over 5?
Aye, over 5.
Okay. Keep out of trouble this time.
Aye.
See you later.
See you later, Paul.
It costs the taxpayer around £3,000 a month to keep a prisoner in jail. That makes the bill for Robert's 7-month stay £21,000, which is more than a young prison officer earns in a year.
Good to go.
I can't help thinking there has to be a cheaper and better way of punishing and rehabilitating revolving door prisoners like him.
Life transformed.
Say hi.
Good man.
Yes. Feel much better now.
Much better?
Much better now.
Yeah.
That's what earned in me. So, go and see my wife, get things sorted.
Good luck.
No problem.
Hope you stay out.
So they are.
Cheers, man.
Only a few weeks after I met Robert, I was told he has outstanding charges. Sadly, his freedom is once again uncertain. Most of the prisoners I've met are stuck in a cycle of life in and out of jail. I want to know what, if anything, can be done to break that cycle. And the one person who may have an answer is the governor.
The prison population has doubled in the last 25 years. What can be done to stop that trend?
Send less people to prison is the easiest answer. We send a lot of people for very short sentences, and we effectively can't do very much. In fact, it probably causes more harm. They lose their tenancy, they could lose their job, they lose connection with their family, or it adversely affects the connection with their family. So sending people for short periods of time in custody is probably not rehabilitative or helpful at all.
But there'll be people watching this and saying prison is about punishing people. Is it?
I would rather it was about changing people.
But we know that there are so many revolving door prisoners out there, not just coming back to Barlinnie, but prisons across the United Kingdom. Do prisons really work?
I think they do for some people. We can make it work for those we have here for a bit of time. For those that are just in and out, it's a pointless exercise. And somebody once said to me that prisons should be there for the people that we're afraid of, who are dangerous, and not for the ones we're annoyed at. So.
I'm still not sure if prisons work, but I have discovered the financial cost and the human cost of jail. And I've learned a lot.
There are definitely people here who should remain here because of the threat that they pose to others. And there are some who are here because of one awful mistake that has changed their lives and other people's lives forever. And sadly, there are some who call this place home because they have nowhere else to go. But the vast majority are repeat offenders, trapped in a cycle of substance abuse, violence, and criminality. And while some of those don't want to change, there are some here that do. And what I've found from the prisoners here is that the only person that can truly change them is themselves.
My question is, are we doing our best to encourage this change to happen?